Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I am Reverend Jim Webb, author of the book The Soul of Prosperity and senior minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel in Silver Spring, Maryland. And we look at prosperity from all angles. We look at professional prosperity, where you have a wonderful job with wonderful pay, where you provide a wonderful service in a wonderful way. We look at physical prosperity, physical balance, physical health, physical equilibrium. We look at financial prosperity, where your finances are no longer a source of worry, but are instead a source of joy. We look at relationship prosperity, where you have harmony from within, and that harmony in your relationship with yourself is outpictured or reflected in your world in the form of harmonious relationships with others. We look at logistical prosperity, where all the aspects of your life seem to work together for your good and you can navigate your life with ease. So we explore all of these, and we explore all of these in the context of A Course in Miracles, which is a wonderful tool for spiritual growth and development. And tonight, we have a very special program for you. This is a unique program. And the reason that I wanted to do this program is because from time to time, there are discussion points that don't fit neatly into one topic or that don't suit one particular guest or another. And so I wanted to create a forum for all of these types of discussions. So tonight's show is entitled Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Prosperity, but Were Afraid to Ask. So bring your questions, bring your thoughts, and we're going to talk about everything you ever wanted to know about prosperity, but were afraid to ask. Now, what I did is I peeped the topic of this show with some folks on my mailing list, and they had advance access to what we were going to do tonight. So we had some questions prepared in advance. And I'm going to bring in my producer, Reverend Michael Mangus, to help me with some of the questions prepared in advance. And don't be shy, you can add your questions now, real time as well. Reverend Michael Mangus, welcome, and thank you.
You're welcome. We're all remote tonight.
Yes.
You're outside of Pittsburgh, and then I'm outside of Dayton, Ohio.
Yes.
There's
So,
Old Top. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Hello. Go
good
ahead.
evening. So, from two different Marriott hotel rooms in different states, here we are, hanging with you guys. We're glad you're here. Yes, we have some questions, Reverend Michael Mangus.
Yeah. So the first question here, it's a general one, but what is your definition of prosperity? What does it mean to be prosperous?
To me, to be prosperous means to be at peace, in joy, in fulfillment, and in love. At peace, in joy, in fulfillment, and in love. So what you will note there is that each of those is an internal state that is not dependent on anything happening outside of you. It's not dependent on what somebody thinks, what you have, what you don't have, what you've done, what you've not done. And therefore it's something more in our control than we ever thought. Because we can control our inner state. We can control our inner perspective, and therefore prosperity is available to everyone.
So my question to follow that up is, so how do we, let's say that we're not used to feeling the emotions that you just said, how can we start generating those emotions that will attract prosperity.
Yes, we can start generating those emotions by going to where those emotions already exist. And this is extremely important to underline. Those emotions already exist within you. The task is to clear away the cobwebs of all the other emotions that have covered them up: fear, shame, doubt, envy, a sense of not enoughness, a sense of unworthiness. All of those things cover up what is your true essence. Your true essence is love.
Right.
Your true essence is peace. And and so by going within, it makes it sound simple, but it actually is. You sit and you sit and you sit and you sit with the will to contact that place. In A Course in Miracles, we have a mantra: I am still as God created me.
Mhm.
Love, peace, and joy abide in me. There is no sin, so I am free. My sinlessness is guaranteed by God. And what that mantra is designed to do is to work with the idea: God created you holy, God created you lovely, God created you worthy, God created you beautiful, and God created you deserving. And you are still all those things. In the meantime, you've had some miseducation. And you've forgotten that that love, that peace, and that joy is what God created in you as you.
Mhm.
But as you remember, by sitting down and letting those energies resurface and picking away at all the other energies that cover them up.
So what you're saying is we're already naturally prosperous. Is it that?
Absolutely.
So that from the course, that is our birthright.
That is our birthright from the
And
Course.
so what you're saying is that the reason that we're not experiencing it more in our lives, and not just financial, but in other areas, the reason is because of our innate nature has been covered up. Correct?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Our innate nature has been covered up by miseducation. Somebody told us that we weren't smart. Somebody told us we weren't beautiful. Somebody told us we weren't worthy. And we believed it instead of believing God.
We have questions coming in. Can I give you one? Is that okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. This is from Reverend Jane Batt. Hello, Reverend Jane. How are you this evening? Hi, Reverend Jim. Is this time different for creating prosperity? Is everything speeding up the way it feels like it is? I'll let you go ahead and answer that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Healing is cumulative. And that is important for everyone to know, because as we have moved forward in our prosperity, every time you meditate, every time you pray, every time you release, every time you have a new revelation, every time you heal a layer of your consciousness, you add to a critical mass of light that you are. A critical mass of the light that is the intrinsic you grows and grows and grows because the darkness that has covered it begins to fall away. And that is not just for each individual, that is for the earth as well. So where we are on the earth right now is that the earth has reached a critical mass where, as A Course in Miracles says, a happy outcome for all things is guaranteed, where it is inevitable that our prosperity will manifest because we've been picking away and picking away and picking away at all of the blockages to that prosperity to the point where they are to the point of dissolving, of dissolution. So, yes, things are speeding up, and that's why we're seeing both an increase in what appears to be chaos and an increase in what appears to be light, because the light is triggering the final throes of chaos so that they can be healed, so that only light and love remains.
So, just to kind of tell everyone what we're doing this evening, hi there. This is a very special program of the Miracle of Prosperity with Reverend Jim Webb, and we're talking about tonight everything everything you ever wanted to know about prosperity, but we're afraid to ask. If you'd like to leave a comment, we'll get your question up. So, Reverend Jim, when I work with people, the one thing that is they'll come in and they'll say, "Well, I don't have any money,"
Mm-hmm.
and again, this whole feeling state. And I say, "Well, what would it feel like if you were prosperous?" Kind of give us some hints on how that we can trigger that feeling state of that we're enough and that we already have it, like you just said.
Yes. What we work with there is what I call in my book, The Soul of Prosperity, the power of emotionalization. And this is so important because people don't realize you don't create your good by mantras. You don't create your good by prayers. You don't create your good by meditations. They all help, but you create your good by your energetic state because your vibration, your frequency attracts its corresponding frequency. That is called the law of correspondence. And so, in order to allow it to show up, you have to generate that inner frequency. You have to generate that inner energy. You have to generate that inner emotion. So, what I ask people to do is close their eyes, shut out their outer senses, because their outer senses are telling them what appears in front of them. And what appears in front of you, folks at home, has nothing to do with the prosperity that you create. What appears in front of you is a crystallization of your old consciousness. And as the scripture says, "Behold, I make all things new again." When you draw in that Christed energy, when you draw in that light of God, that light of God can change things in what A Course in Miracles calls a holy instant. And in a holy instant, you are changed, you are healed, you are transformed. And in that holy instant, you're vibrating with something totally different. You're sending out a totally different frequency, and so you're creating something new. So you close your eyes, you close off all those external senses, and you focus on the inner sense of what it feels like to have it now. And that's important, the power of now. What does it feel like to have it now? Not what does it feel like tomorrow morning when I go to work and my car works and I no longer need to put a $4,000 engine in it. No, what does it feel like to have it now? So in this moment, you get in your car energetically. You turn the key energetically. The transmission works just like it did when it came off of the factory floor in Lordstown, Ohio. And you have a sense of peace. You have a sense of blessed assurance. You know that you are taken care of. And what you are doing then is you are creating that frequency, and that frequency attracts its reflection. That's the power of emotionalization.
And you went ahead and I talked this morning. I'm tonight. I'm in Dayton, Ohio, which over the
Mm-hmm.
weekend I participated in what's called Hamvention, which is the largest gathering of amateur radio operators in the world. And I talked this morning from Ernest Holmes' article on that you are a spiritual broadcasting station. And a lot
Yeah.
of the things that you just talked about is true, is that what a lot of times that we don't understand that we are broadcasting to the world the things again that we're seeing and also the things that we don't like. So what I encouraged everyone today to do
Mm-hmm.
is to get rid of the old programming
Yes.
and to go ahead and to start thinking about believing in the whole idea of the truth.
Yes.
Capital T is that the truth is that we are prosperous, we are
Yes.
abundant, we are
Uh-huh.
successful, we already have it in us. But the whole
Mm-hmm.
idea of now we have to go ahead and to vibrate from that. Any thoughts on that, Reverend Jim?
Yes. The first piece of feedback we often get on that is, but isn't that denial? And I say absolutely, but it's denial not in being willfully blind to what's in front of you. It's denial in terms of disempowering what you see in front of you from having power over what you create in this moment of now. And that is also based on this idea that what you see in front of you is a crystallization of past consciousness. But the scripture said, "Behold, I make all things new again." And in an instant, new consciousness can create something new.
And that again, that's an effect.
Yes.
That's an effect. That's not that may be the fact in the moment,
Hmm.
but that's not the truth, capital T.
Exactly.
So,
That's an effect of your old consciousness. And if you change your inner cause, then your outer effect must change. Your outer effect has no choice but to change to correspond with your inner consciousness. That's the law of correspondence. And
yes.
so, if you change your inner consciousness, if you and let's do one. In my book, The Miracle of Prosperity, I do the red winter cashmere coat. And the reason that I do this one is because I demonstrate what it feels like to have a sumptuous, thick, soft, beautiful, flowing, red cashmere coat with deep silk pockets that keep your hands warm, that makes you feel swaddled in loving grace and comfort and peace. And by the time I get finished talking about that red cashmere coat, people are literally hugging themselves because they are in the energy of it. And that energy has no choice but to draw to you the comfort that it depicts.
We have another question here, Reverend Jim,
Mhm.
from Old Top. Hi there. Can you speak on how the subconscious is integral to prosperity? Great question. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Consciously, we all want to be rich. Consciously, we all want to be thin. Consciously, we all want to be healthy. Consciously, we all want to have emotional balance. Consciously, we all want family harmony. So, if we all want this consciously, why does it seem so elusive? Because our unconscious, quite often, has been known to overrule our conscious minds and our conscious desires. Look at it this way: an iceberg, when you have an iceberg, 20% of the iceberg is above the surface and you can see it. 80% of the iceberg is beneath the surface and you can't. And the part of the iceberg that sunk the Titanic is the part of the iceberg beneath the surface. So the part of your consciousness that may sabotage your conscious desires is your unconscious mind. That's the part of you that says no because I'm not good enough. No because this happened in the past. No because God doesn't like people like me. No because look at how the world seems to be stacked against me. No because it wouldn't be fair if I had that and somebody else didn't. All of those unconscious no's can literally, like crabs in a barrel, can grab the yes crab back down into the consciousness of no. And so that's why it's so important to meditate, to pray, and to open to the light of God that can access, heal, and transform your unconscious mind.
If you're wondering what you're watching this evening, this is the Miracle of Prosperity with Reverend Jim Webb, and we have a very important topic this evening. We're talking about everything, everything you ever wanted to know about prosperity, but were afraid to ask. We have another comment here, Reverend Jim, from Shay Michelle Davis. Hello there, Shay. She says, I've changed my inner consciousness. Is there something else I am missing to manifest perfect health in my body temple? I'll let you go ahead, go first, and then hopefully maybe I have a couple of comments on that. Go ahead.
Okay, okay. I'm going to go into this one intuitively. Some of you know this, some of you don't, but I'm an intuitive and a channel and a reader, and I do readings and all that stuff. And this is a job for the intuitive mind. And when I step into that, I step into the energy of a soul who is unaccustomed to the energy of the earth. I step into the energy of a soul who is trying on an earth body and doesn't like it. I am stepping into the energy of a soul who has visited the earth somewhat infrequently and says, what is this body thing? And so what I'm stepping into is a soul who, in order to have the harmony desired, can be more comfortable with their body as simply a useful tool. My body is a useful tool. It is a focal point for joy. My body is a useful tool. It is a crystal of consciousness. My body is a useful tool. It does not block my light or purpose. It facilitates my light and purpose. And I hope that the person goes back and listens to this, because the key to this is sitting in the energy of light, sitting in the energy of love, sitting in the energy of grace, and telling the parts of the body that it, and telling the parts of the body that, that is uncomfortable. My body is a useful tool. It is a temple of light, a crystal of light, a focal point for grace, and a crystal of joy. And when we look at and a miracle is called, we say a miracle is seeing something different. When this person sees her body in a different way, then the miracle of healing can occur, because the body is no longer seen as an impediment to her spiritual task on earth, but is seen as a tool for her spiritual path on earth. And that's what I get intuitively around that.
I think that's wonderful. The other, my portion here, Shay, is, first of all, you're not missing anything. Okay. You're perfect, whole, and complete. As far as with the body temple, is that, again, to what Jim was talking about earlier, is that we are, at our nature, from the Course, we're innocent. We're perfect, whole, and complete. So that's where the focus needs to be on. Now, in prayer, probably what you're familiar with in affirmative prayer, sometimes, again, that what's needed to happen is sometimes that we need some really strong denials when we do our affirmative thought. And really, again, we're not denying the facts, but we're denying, again, that that they will continue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we need to speak the truth. So again, if you're feeling, again, any type of doubt about your physical health, is that the focus needs to be, again, let whoever that you're going to, let them care for it. But your focus is on perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. So focus, those are the things that you focus on. Again, in God, there are no blockages. Again, that's a good denial. In God, there is no sickness. There is no disease. And again, I shake my head a lot when I do affirmative prayer and just say, that is not the truth about myself or whoever I'm praying for. So again, just keep on keeping on, as far as keeping, again, the high watch of really knowing your perfection. And yes, again, if you keep doing that, then that's what will happen. Okay, let's see here. Let's see what Shay says. She says, oh, wow, thank you. Definitely resonates, Reverend Jim.
Okay.
Real good. How wonderful.
Absolutely.
So let's see here. Just checking a look. Okay, so did you want to take a break real quick, and then we'll be right back?
Yes, and then we'll come right back, and that'll give people an opportunity to formulate some additional questions.
Yeah, so we're taking your questions this evening. Very special program here on the Miracle of Prosperity. everything you ever wanted to know about prosperity, but we're afraid to ask. And we'll be back again. Formulate your questions, and we'll go ahead and we'll answer them after the break here on your New Thought Media Network.
Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zoe DeMuro.
Watch me change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change.
And we're back here on the New Thought Media Network and a very special show called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Prosperity, but were afraid to ask. And I wanted to share something. And what I want to share is a special derivation of affirmative prayer that can be used for transformation. It's a special derivation of affirmative prayer that includes, first of all, of course, the invocation, where you invite and acknowledge the power of God into your process. It involves, of course, the unification, where we unify with the power of God by expressing and experiencing our oneness with God. And then the entree of the affirmative prayer. We kind of divide into two parts. The acknowledgement of the existing situation and the awareness of its transformation. And this helps those of us who think, well, isn't that denial? No, because you acknowledge, until today, this is what I have believed, and this is what has been created. But this is not what you will for me, God. So I let you in. Change my mind, change my energy, change my vibration, change my frequency, change my point of view, change my outlook, and change my outcome. Because if my outlook changes, my outcome must change. And so it acknowledges where we've been. But it disempowers it by allowing the power of God, reliant on the scripture, the power of God within you is greater than anything in the world outside of you. And it puts that to work to transform your inner cause so that you can have a different outer effect. And I wanted to add that when we're doing our affirmative prayer, as Reverend Michael brought up affirmative prayer so adroitly in the last question.
And we have a comment back from Shay. Hi there. It says, my focus is on perfection. I know my perfection. Thank you, Reverend Michael. And again, I think that that's uh, we keep knowing the truth until it becomes the fact. We keep knowing the truth until it becomes the fact. So again, what Jim was saying is, it's again, we're not denying what's going on, but what we're doing is we're saying, okay, and this can change,
Yes.
and this can change. All right, let's see here. Hi, Carlisa. How are you? Love the yes crab. I find gratitude for all that I have, and I am. It's PowerPoint. Where does gratitude fit in prosperity? Great question. Thank you, Carlisa.
I love that question, Carlisa. Gratitude is an integral part of prosperity. Gratitude magnifies prosperity. Gratitude facilitates prosperity. Gratitude says yes to prosperity. Gratitude enables prosperity. Why? Because that for which we are grateful, that which we acknowledge, that which we pay attention to, is that which we expand. Everything we say magnifies itself. Everything we think magnifies itself. Everything we do magnifies itself. So when we are grateful, that for which we are grateful expands. I love Reverend Michael's sermon today about being a human radio transmitter. Everything you say and you do is a transmission. And just imagine a movie that goes out and is transmitted to millions of people and changes hearts and minds. That's what you are. So when you are grateful for something, you transmit the energy of gratitude, and you transmit that which you are grateful for, expanding it. And that's why gratitude is such an integral part of prosperity.
And I'm reminded of an article that I read this week from the late great Dr. Joseph Murphy. He said there's two words that will transform your life, and that is thank you. Thank you is that when we can live, not just saying the thank you, but when we can live in that vibration of gratitude, of having that great attitude, it does prosper. So thank you, Dr. Joseph Murphy, for that reminder this week. Let's see here. We have more questions. Hi, Reverend Jim and Reverend Michael. What is the age of Aquarius all about? Go ahead.
I can speak to that because I know the song. Ancient crystal revelations. Oh, all kidding aside, the age of Aquarius is where we are. It is a new age where we have learned to think differently, see differently, and create differently. And although it may not seem to be made manifest fully, we see its intention. And let's just do an example of how humanity is turning a corner in its consciousness. The past consciousness from a prior age was a consciousness of division. Us versus them. China versus the US. The North versus the South. Black versus white. Male versus female. Gay versus straight. Rich versus poor. And although we are obviously seeing many of the vestiges of that, something happened around March 9th, 2020. And that was the global awareness of COVID. COVID knew no natural boundaries. COVID knew no political boundaries. COVID knew no economic boundaries. COVID knew no racial boundaries. COVID knew no geographic boundaries. COVID affected everyone on the earth equally. Now, there were many things that were regrettable that resulted from that. But one of the things that happened on a very subtle level was we became more aware than ever before that we are one and that we needed to act as one. For what we did really could impact someone across the globe. And now that was a very challenging lesson for us to learn of our oneness and of our interconnectedness. And we may have to have reminders of this lesson. But on many levels, that lesson caused humanity to turn a corner, for no longer could humanity deny its oneness. And that is an integral part of what this new age is all about. Oneness versus separation from each other, which of course implies oneness with God instead of separation with God. So if you want a simple, just way to think about this new age of Aquarius, it is an age of oneness instead of a prior age of separation.
Great answer. Let's see what else here we have. Shay comments again, says, I'm aware of the infinite possibilities for myself and others. How wonderful.
You know what I'd like to do with that one?
Go ahead.
I would like to work with that for a moment.
All right.
And the reason that I would like to work with that for a moment is because we say stuff like this all the time, and I really want to unpack it. And this is why I want to unpack it. We believe it intellectually, but we've got to know it in every way. God is infinite, and we are part of God. God is infinite possibilities. So every possibility that God can think of exists within us. The reason that it is important for us to unpack this is because it means that every possibility is possible. Now you might say, oh, what are you talking about? I couldn't be president of the United States. I'm a 69-year-old woman. Well, in God, all things are possible. If you hold out that possibility, there is no degree of difficulty in miracles. Who knows what could happen? Who knows what could happen? Now, and the reason that it is important to stretch our minds that way is because each time we stretch our minds that way, we allow in more possibilities. The possibilities are there. You have to allow them. The possibilities are there. We have to channel them. The possibilities are there. We have to accept them. The possibilities are there. We have to give them permission to be made manifest through us. And that's why one of the ministers at my church, Reverend Cynthia Tootle, she does this thing called outrageous affirmations. And what it is basically creative aerobics. You know, just like you do jazzercise or aerobics, you increase the capacity of your heart to beat faster. You increase the capacity of your muscles. Well, she increases the capacity of our spirits to hold creative energy by working with outrageous affirmations and realizing, okay, if I hold this outrageous affirmation and say yes to it, I am increasing my capacity for any possibility. And therefore, I am giving God more permission to work through me as me. You're expanding your capacity for God. And that's why it's important for us to drill down on this idea of infinite possibilities and to own it. And that we are all infinite possibilities. So if you want to daydream that you're president of the United States, go ahead and do it. And whether that is made manifest or not is immaterial. What that does is it opens your range of possibilities and ways that you allow God to manifest through you.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Shay. You think for a moment that, you increased our infinite possibilities. You allowed us to stretch here. So, Reverend Jim, another question. So, if there was one idea that you could share with us tonight that would help us to cultivate prosperity, what would that one or two ideas be?
It would be one simple idea. Love yourself, 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 love yourself. I shouldn't say this because this might mean you won't buy the book, but my 262-page book, The Soul of Prosperity, boils down to one thing. Self-love is the key to prosperity. And so let me explain that a little bit more. Self-love is not the narcissistic love that we think of as conceited, self-absorbed self-love. Self-love is the healthy, balanced, productive energy and flow of love that is the universal creative substance. So when you vibrate with the energy of love, you vibrate with the creative substance that can be molded by your words, by your thoughts, and by your deeds. So the more you are in alignment with that love, that creative substance, the more of it is available to you to form your likelihoods, your possibilities. And the more you can create your possibilities, the more you can create prosperity. So self-love is the key, because that which denies our prosperity is self-rejection, self-judgment, self-condemnation. Does that make sense?
Oh, great. Great answer. Reverend Jane Batt is back with another question. She says, what prayer can we use to help political conflicts evolve towards peace?
Oh, Reverend Jane, you always do this. What do I mean by this? Reverend Jane Batt is a muse. What she doesn't know is that one of the next special programs that we are going to do is praying for prosperity, where you have certain prosperity questions and we develop specific prayers for your prosperity question. But on some level, she knows it, because this question prompts me to do a whole program based on how can we pray for this or how can we pray for that. So let's pray for the political conflicts to evolve towards peace. Let's just breathe for a moment. Let me check the time before I pray, because I can pray forever. Let's just breathe for a moment. And as we breathe, let us become aware of the one power, the one love, the one source, the one fount of grace, the one fount of wisdom, the one fount of good. And let us turn our faces to that one source and allow that source to shower down upon us all of its love, all of its good, all of its intention for our good, all of its warmth, all of its embrace, all of its unconditional love, all of its creative intention. So as we turn our faces to the light of the one love, and as we know ourselves as one with the one love, this awareness of unity is as contagious as COVID. So God, we call upon you by all the names by which you have been known. And as we do so, we join with all of the ancestors who have called you by these names. Allah, Abba, Adonai, Elohim. We join the mighty chorus of humanity that knows of your presence and have called you forth. And as we do so, we magnify the intention and the awareness of your presence. And we magnify our awareness of ourselves as receptacles, as channels, as vessels for your presence. Pour yourself into us, God, here and now. And as we revel in this oneness, God, may we transmit this like the flu, so that all energies, all people, all nations, and all points of view realize that there is one race, the human race, that there is one political party, the party of humanity, that there is one good, and we share that good, and that there is enough. God, cause each and every one of us to know that we are enough, for we are perfect, whole, and complete as you created us. And when we know that we are enough, we know that there is enough, for there is no reason for us to deny anything. And as we all collectively come into a consciousness of enoughness, as we all collectively come into a consciousness of unity, as we all collectively come into a consciousness of deservingness, as we all collectively come into a consciousness of abundance, all fights end, all conflicts end. For there is no longer any such thing as a zero-sum game. There is only win-win. God, fill our minds, fill our hearts, fill our energies with the idea of the ever-expanding good of the universe and how it is available to each and every one of us. For in you there is no competition, in you there is no scarcity, in you there is no lack, for you are infinite and all possibilities, God. So pour through us now in that way that we may show this to the world, that we may share this with the world, that we may be beacons of light for the world, that the world would too see infinite possibilities and release false conflict. So God, as we hold this energy, and as we are channels for this energy, as we conduct this energy, and as we share this energy of the world, we know that this energy goes from us and shall not be null and void, but shall be returned in the form of its reflection in your world. So God, we give thanks for political harmony. God, we give thanks for political peace. God, we give thanks for a new awareness of win-win situations and solutions to challenges that come from the infinite realm of infinite possibilities. And we give thanks for the harmony, peace, and joy that this brings in the age of Aquarius, now and forevermore. Amen.
How wonderful. Thank you so very much. Great. Oh, wow. That's great. So can I comment on Reverend Jane's about their
Oh, please do.
age of Aquarius? So I what's going on, I believe energetically, is that we are all here this time in our state of evolution to help bring the planet to light. We are not here by accident. We are here because that we have brought with us talents and abilities that to be able then to assist our brothers and sisters who they're not aware of their light. So what we're doing is we're making them aware. Now, what's happening again in the world is that we are seeing the chaos. We're seeing some of the things that people don't like change, and they don't like to acknowledge because if you really loved your neighbor as yourself, if you really saw the divinity in your neighbor, you would never pick up a gun against them. You would never fire a missile at them because you realized and recognized that the person that you're pointing the missile to is yourself. So see, that's where we're evolving. That's where we're changing and going towards that. So again, we're all here. Some people call us light workers. That's one term. But we're all here this time, again, to help others to rediscover their own light within. Again, and you're seeing it now in religion. You're seeing that, again, only 30% of the population go to church now. 30%. So but there's this group called Spiritual Not Religious, who is gaining traction. And the reason being is because, again, there has been a huge paradigm shift that's happening. That's been predicted for quite some time. So yes, we are in the age of Aquarius, and we are all here. All of us here are here on purpose to really to have that age of Aquarius manifest in and through and as us, and then assisting others into their own light. So thank you, Reverend Jane. That was a wonderful, wonderful comment here.
Yes, and I would add that because we are light workers, we have had the first opportunity to overcome our own inner darkness, which is why many times as light workers we wonder, why have our lives been so challenging? Because in order to be the beacons of light that we were intended to be, we must first heal ourselves. And so we came here because this was the first time in eons in the Earth's evolution where there was enough light already here to facilitate our healing so that we could then facilitate others. So that's what I would add to this.
Thank you. And Carlisa says, well, 30% of us is over 100 million. Yes. And then she said, of the 330 million of us. Yes. So there's a lot of, again, and that's why I'm excited to be a part of this network. We're, again, this group of people, we're not here by accident here. We're here again to share not only our knowledge, but also our love to transform this planet. And so that's the reason why we've all gathered together to do this on this wonderful network. Thank you again, Reverend Jane. Hopefully you'll be back on our show here really soon.
Yes.
Yeah. we'll have to ask you about. She's a wonderful guest here.
Absolutely.
So we have a few more minutes. Is there something that is coming to mind here, or a question that we have not answered yet?
You can think about that. We can take a break and come back and do a final question as we do the what's next.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna take a break. If you have a final question, we do have time to answer it. So all you need to do is put it in the comments. And this is the Miracle of Prosperity here on
the New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience, or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
We're back here on the New Thought Media Network and the Miracle of Prosperity with two wonderful final questions before we get to our favorite segment of the show called What's Next?
Charity asked a very interesting question. So I think she says New Haven. I think she's meaning New Heaven and New Heaven and New Earth, which is taken from the book of Revelation. What is your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think when I think of that, I think back to what Jesus said when he said, "Know ye not that the kingdom of heaven lives within you?" And as we transform ourselves within, and that is the new heaven that we create, then we create a new earth, because as we've been talking all this evening, there is this inner cause and the outer effect. And when we create that new space within us, that is heaven, that is love, that is deservingness, that is ease, that is grace, that is good. When we create that energy within us, it shows up in our outer world. And that is one way to look at new heaven and new earth. And Reverend Jane
And
had a question too, didn't she?
yes, she did. There seems to be a veil between human consciousness and the divine. Is that changing? I will answer that. Yes. Go ahead, Reverend Jim.
Yes. Some of you know this, some of you don't. I do some channeling. I channel a group of beings called the Masters of Planetary Healing and Transformation. Their task is to help us all to heal and transform so that we can be those who heal and transform the earth. And the way they talk about it now in matter-of-fact terms is this almost non-existent veil, because spirit is as close as our breath, and we are learning to recognize that, and we are learning to live in the light of spirit in such a strong and tangible way that the veil, for all intents and purposes, does not exist anymore. Years ago, 30 years ago, we used to sit in spiritual growth and development classes, and it was like trying to pass a kidney stone to get a message. Nowadays, in our meditation circle, somebody off the street sits down in the chair, and 3 minutes later, they're popping off messages.
So, Reverend Jim,
Yes.
what are you doing new these days that you would like to tell us all about?
Oh, if you insist, Reverend Michael, I am doing a special thing with my classes. I have 2 classes going on now. One on Monday nights is a channel class called Spirit Speaks on Self-Forgiveness, because the lack of self-forgiveness blocks our prosperity. So Spirit is giving us all kinds of prayers, all kinds of exercises, powerful meditative and healing energy, and personalized advice on how we can move into self-forgiveness. And then on Thursdays, I'm doing a class called Silencing Your Inner Saboteurs, because our inner saboteurs are the parts of us that say no when there is a part of us saying yes. The inner saboteurs are the crabs in a barrel, clawing that one crab of yes back down instead of moving it over the wall into the yes of joy. And so these 2 classes I do by Zoom. And I'm now making them available to anyone and everyone, the recordings of them, for a special price of $100. So you get 12 classes, you get the recordings, you get the prayers, you get the energy, you get the questions, you get the answers, and you get the wisdom for $100. Now this does 2 things. It spreads the information and it maintains the quality, because Spirit wants to work with each person and wants to work deeply with them. So it does both things. It enables us to do deep spiritual work, but it also enables this deep spiritual work to be available to many. So if that's something that is of interest to you, text me at 202-253-6009, and I will hook you up with some recordings. That's what I'm up to.
Say that again, please. 202.
202-253-6009.
Or you can go on his website, which is revjimwebb.com. Great show tonight. Thank you all for your questions. I know that we did not get to all of them, but again, keep sending them in, and Jim will answer them at some time. Anything else tonight, sir?
That's it. I just want to thank everybody for joining us here on the New Thought Media Network.